Welcome to The Disruption Is Now. Join us on this enlightening journey as we explore how AI is impacting our jobs, careers, lives, and the human experience. Each episode, host Greg Matusky will converse with visionaries and innovators at the forefront of AI, diving into its challenges, opportunities, and impact. So buckle up as we venture into the heart of disruption, and together, let's unfold the future.
Well, this is rare. We're on location with The Disruption Is Now. I'm Greg Matusky, your host. I'm also the CEO of Gregory FCA, one of the nation's largest PR agencies. And I'm really excited because I just came out of a session here at Ai4, and the host of that session was a young man named Jordan Young. And I was fascinated by what he's got going with his company. It's called Hooky AI, right? Did I say that right?
We just say Hooky, but yeah, Hooky AI, yep.
And it's fascinating because it overcomes part of the licensing issue with musicians and artists. And this is interesting because there's a lot of discussion about what is ethical in using other people's voices, likenesses. But tell me, do I have that right? Give me the whole rundown of Hooky, if you would.
Yeah, so the rundown of Hooky is this. Voice cloning technology is easily accessible, easily available, and lots of people can use it. What are the ethical, societal implications if anyone can steal anyone else's voice? I can't solve that for all of society, but I understand music, and I know that I can solve it for music, and that's what we've attempted to do. And essentially what we've built is an end-to-end solution where you can go to a single platform, create your song using an artist-approved AI voice. They've opted into it.
Approved. The artist allows the
artists
creator.
are on platform by choice.
Right.
We're not stealing anyone's voices. We do this alongside the artist as their partner.
Brilliant.
We're the pipes. We don't set pricing. We don't set anything. We're just a marketplace for AI voices, but we're an end-to-end solution, meaning you can go and search for a voice you like. You can convert your voice into that, make the song that you want. Each artist determines what percentage of that song they're going to own. So you're going to agree to a license. Let's say 25% of a song you'll give up. You'll be able to create your song. And then once you're ready to distribute that song, we are also the distributor. So you'll upload that finished song back to us. The artist will then approve it or deny it. They'll get an alert that, hey, the song's ready for release. They'll listen to it. Yes, I like this. Approve. And then once it's approved, now you can release your song to 100 plus DSPs, Spotify, Apple, Google Music, everywhere around the world.
So these creators go into partnership with the artist.
Exactly.
And they can license their voice, make a new song, the creator does, and then distribute it, and everyone shares in whatever revenue it
Everyone
makes.
shares in the revenue. So on the master, worth noting, there's a number of revenue streams in music. The publishing, meaning the songwriting, the artist does not take that. If you as the creator wrote the whole song, you get to keep the publishing, but what they do get a participation of is the master recording, the actual recording. So if the artist wants 25%, $1,000 comes in, we're gonna make sure they get $250 and you'll get the other $750, or you and your human collaborators that you can also invite to the platform will share amongst that $750.
Now, as far as where you've come from, you have some big time credentials in the music industry. Run through those real fast so that people can understand that you didn't just appear in the AI world, that you had a long legacy in the music world.
Yeah, so I've had a 19-year career professionally in music. I started my career in 2005 in New York City. I now live in Los Angeles. I'm a songwriter, producer, Grammy winner. I've sold close to 200 million records. I started with an artist named Fabulous, a rapper. Then my next major client was Beyonce. I traveled the world with her. I was her personal recording engineer, recorded all her music. And then began mixing more records, and I mixed and co-produced a number of the Chainsmokers hit records, so Closer, which was #1 for 12 weeks, and this is a diamond record, and Don't Let Me Down, we won a Grammy for. And so I've worked with a number of artists, BTS, Lil Nas X, Cardi B, Selena Gomez, Rema, Dua Lipa,
you had
Coldplay.
the foundation.
Yeah.
And as part of your presentation today, you talked a bit about what happened in the year 2000 with regard to Napster. I shared with you that at one point I'd represent LimeWire until they got $1 billion lawsuit.
So you know exactly how it all went down.
Yeah. And there's some legacy here, isn't there, as far as what you see unfolding now with AI as to what was being done then with digital music and MP3s and
absolutely. There's a parallel. There's a couple parallels that we can draw, and the first is with Napster about really what not to do, or rather how to get to a solution quicker. When Napster came out, really the technology was peer-to-peer file sharing. The ability to host a file on your computer and someone else can download it from anywhere in the world. And of course, the easy things for people to share at the time were music files because they were small.
Right. Digital, everything, and it was exact.
Exactly. And so Napster sort of introduced this new way of listening to music, and what it created was this realization amongst music consumers that we don't necessarily want to consume music the way the record companies want us to. They want us to buy an album of 15 songs, and maybe we only listen to 2 or 3 of them. We want to listen to what we want when we want. So it was really about music on demand. That's really the thing that Napster introduced. And, the music industry didn't know how to address it. So they tried, I always go back to the 3 L's. The first L is they tried to litigate. So everyone lawyered up. They started suing these companies.
I remember.
And we realized that doesn't work because new companies pop up. Things, go outside of the borders. Companies pop up in Russia, China, wherever. You can't stop the internet. So litigation doesn't work. It's just a game of whack-a-mole. The second thing was legislation. The RIAA worked with Congress, and they passed DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act. And that did provide some recourse and solutions, but it didn't prevent the sharing of music. You were still able to do that. It just enabled you to, if you saw someone sharing it, you could take it down or prevent a Google search from popping up. It's still there. It slows you down. It doesn't really stop anything. The solution to the problem of digital downloads was Spotify.
Right.
Or to a lesser extent, like the iTunes store.
Right.
And really that is the third L, licensing. You can still download music for free today. There's nothing stopping. There's file sharing. There's lots of file sharing that you could do today. But Spotify is delivered at an affordable price. It offers enough features and benefits that the average consumer is willing to pay that price, and it's a reasonable price to pay. And music has never been better. From a market cap standpoint, music is growing tremendously.
Where you think this is going to play? Your idea, right?
So that addressed that is sort of the parallel with music consumption. The same thing's going to happen with music creation now. These systems are popping up that are allowing anybody to make music, whether you have no musical bone in your body, you'll be able to generate amazing quality songs from your favorite artists. But in order to eventually get to that reality, which is coming, we have to find a solution because if your favorite artist is whoever, the Rolling Stones, you want to listen to more Rolling Stones music, you're going to need some sort of license for that. And so we just intend to solve that friction where if you want to license a clearly licensable piece of work or voice or whatever it is from an artist, there needs to be a pathway to do that. Another parallel I can draw is sampling from the 80s. Using a voice AI and making a song with it is not all that different from sampling, right? You're taking an original song, in this case a voice for what we're doing, but in sampling's case, taking an original song, maybe a few, you're layering them on top of one another, you're chopping them up, you're manipulating them in ways that the artist may not have wanted. And originally when sampling happened, it was sort of the emergence of hip-hop in the 80s and drum machines and things like that. There was no rules around it. People would do it, it would go under the radar, people wouldn't get paid, there was no rules around it. And then as it evolved and we realized this is not going anywhere, the industry adopted a process in clearing a sample. Now you go to the publishers, you go to the master rights holders, you get all your signatures, and now you can release your song. It's a complex thing, but with voice AI, it doesn't need to be complex because the only signature you need is the artist.
Now, how hard is it to curate these artists? What does that take?
So getting artists on
who
platform,
will sign up for it.
Yeah, so right now we're very early stage. So the artists who are participating right now are people who are, the early adopters, the people who are forward thinking, looking at the future, want to participate. Every time a new platform like this pops up, there's always new stars that are built from new platforms, right? Whether it's like Twitch or whatever, you always have new stars that are built from that. And so the artists who are participating today are the artists who see that future and see where it's going and want to participate. There's also some barriers with the record companies and things like that that we're working through as we speak. And I suspect that those things will get worked out in time. And that will enable a lot more artists to participate. Because right now, artists are just unsure. They don't know. And so we need to make sure that we show them that we are protecting them every step of the way. And because I come from music, that's really the goal. You know, we make sure the artists, they get to decide how much percentage of a song they own. They get to decide who gets to release it or doesn't, approval, denial, and whatnot. And then because we're the distributor, we also ensure there's an AI suffix at the end of every artist name. So the credits, these AI songs will never live on the original artist Spotify profile. It'll live on a secondary profile called Drake AI, for example. And that's where you get to go and interact with Drake's digital avatar.
I got to give it to you, Jordan. It's a brilliant solution to a problem that's going to vex us all. And I'm sure you're going to have many twists and turns along the way. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Your presentation today was wonderful. I really was enthralled by it because I had such an experience and legacy of being in the digital music space. So I want to thank you for being on. We've got a lot more segments coming up live from Ai4 here in Las Vegas. So I don't know if they'll all be as cool as you, Jordan.
I'm sure there's going to be some really cool stuff here. I mean, I'm looking at a lot of the companies. There's some very interesting companies here.
Yeah, a lot of it I don't understand with as much as taming your data, but I do understand what you're talking about, and I think it's brilliant, so thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much, Greg. Appreciate it.
Hey, we're back at Ai4 Conference. What a show. More than 5,000 people. I'm here talking with Travis and with Giovanni, and they have a company that's helping organizations overcome their biggest pain point. I guess you came from the aeronautics industry, but you found that a lot of your approaches and solutions could apply to other types of enterprises. Tell me about that. Why don't you start, and what exactly are you doing in the AI realm?
Yeah, so we have our roots in aerospace. So we started working with the U.S. Air Force, U.S. Space Force, AFRL, and we're doing a lot of risk analysis, probabilistic risk analysis, some data science work for them, and realized, especially during the 2019-2020 fire seasons in California, that these methods were really applicable to electric utilities as well. Being able to help them identify wildfire risk, help them invest in mitigation strategies.
Well, go deeper in that, in predictive modeling and how AI is playing a role. I came out of a conference here with regard to asset management, and they were doing really, really complex predictive modeling based on signals, short-term signals that would give traders an advantage for at most 8 days. But 8 days is all you need in the market, right, to get an advantage. So tell me about that experience with the aerospace industry and how it migrated into others with that.
Yeah, so I think we found a real knack for being able to model systems at like an individual asset, or if you're looking at an airplane, like an individual part of that airplane, all the way up to the system level, which for aerospace could be an entire satellite, could be an entire plane system. And that analogy really holds in the electric utility industry, where you have assets which are not parts of a plane, but they're poles and conductors in a much larger utility power network. So we're able to kind of use some of those analogies and the math, and we're able to kind of work our way from aerospace to energy that way.
And you mentioned signals, right? Like we use signals as well. They would use a certain type of signal within the noise for financial networks. We would look at like inspections data, maintenance data, expected life of an asset as a signal that we incorporated into our analysis, so that we could then predict the failure rate of a certain component, which is then a part of a broader complex engineered system. So we then turn that analysis into dollars and cents analysis, informed decisions that enable us to recommend to our clients when they should replace assets, when they should service assets, while maximally reducing the overall probability of failure of the system itself.
And so really it's identifying those risks to try to prevent them, right, through preventative maintenance or actions that you could take now to safeguard assets out in the field.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And in some cases, that could also mean that you allow certain assets to run longer because there is increased redundancy. So if I have 3 parallel systems that offer the same function, I don't need to disservice them as deliberately as I would. That's a critical function, that if that function fails, the entire system would be unable to perform its function.
So help me out then. You have this, you gather these signals, this data, right? And you can understand maybe where the weak link is due to maintenance or parts that have failed in the past, let's say. Where does AI come into that?
Yeah, well, we're able to take data from our clients, process, analyze this data, and so we build, just like a traditional AI type or data science type project, we build customized machine learning pipelines fit to their specific data. So not all electric utilities have the same sensors. They have similar sensors, not always the same, but we're able to place this data in essentially a big, you can imagine like an Excel spreadsheet or a large table, but a database. We're able to ingest that database, clean that data, and that's when we're able to start training and testing models. So we would use, we would want to predict failures in the future, for example. So we could use past failure data and sensor data, and we would be able to train a model to predict failures going forward.
Now, this is interesting to me because I have a panel tomorrow on governance, which I'm a little stressed about because most of the people on the panel work for very large enterprises.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And they're really focused on containing data, safeguarding data, right? But they're not really focused on other parts of governance, which in my world, I run a small business, 125 people, and that's really the people, right? How do I advance their careers as part of that governance, right? And in your world, right, where does this play a role in a company's governance and compliance to be able to reduce risk so dramatically? You're a utility, you're in California. We've seen the wildfires. We know that some of them are caused by grid failure. What responsibility do they have that you can help them on the level of, I would assume, reputation management, litigation, just not the hard costs of failures, but the unforeseen costs?
Yeah, well, we really integrate all of those elements into analysis that we provide to our clients. I mean, they're obviously highly regulated. They are
the regulatory risk, right? I mean,
the regulatory regime
you called
around
up by a Senate subcommittee.
That's exactly right. They're public relations risk, image risk, brand risk. But I mean, bringing it back to like at core, all of our clients are very focused on avoiding loss of life, right? And so when we talk about wildfires, that's why they have placed such a huge emphasis on wildfire prevention, avoidance, and that's really where we've done a great deal of our work, is in that space in support of them. And for California, for example, some of the new initiatives that we developed, there's a capability within the system for them to promote them back up as these are best in class, best use exemplars of the way that we should be analyzing risk. And then that can potentially be integrated into the overall regulatory regime. So that kind of virtuous cycle, we contribute to that because we're innovators. We bring expertise perhaps from other domains, best in class, best in industry practices, apply that to that type of industry, and then sometimes that bubbles its way up back into the regulatory regime.
You know, that's really interesting to me, Travis, because I don't know if you saw the keynote this morning with Jeffrey Hinton, right? And he focused all on the big scary, right?
Yep.
And it was very dramatic. But I think we don't pull enough out of what could be done for the common good.
Yeah.
And we don't make that a plank of our platform with moving this forward. No. And look what you're able to do. You're able to safeguard human life, reduce operating costs, bring a better future and world as we struggle with all kinds of energy issues. So I commend you for that, and it's a very noble task. I think we need to do more to promote these examples within industry as a whole.
I couldn't agree more, and I think we got a little bit of that at the end of Andrew Yang's talk, which he talks about the capability of AI to save lives, save relatives, those sorts of things. So I do think that we need a balanced perspective when we talk about these broader issues. And unfortunately, as you know, some of the doom and gloom sells sells and people are interested in that, but I also think there's potentially great benefit there, and we've seen it on our side. And again, we're not doom and gloom. We're specifically focused on supporting the needs of our customers, and that in turn helps society. Reliable power, less wildfires, less events that disrupt their customers' daily lives is really where we're focused, and that's what they pay us for.
Well, thanks for being with us today. It was really interesting, and again, to think the good that can come from your ability to use predictive analysis to avoid risk and make the world a better place is very commendable. And thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We're still here at Ai4, and I'm here with Francesco Martin. He's the CEO of Stride. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
You have a really interesting backstory. You worked in AI for almost, 15 years before this? And then you saw every hype cycle come and go.
That's exactly right.
But now Stride, it's really dedicated to helping organizations, enterprises, use AI to do software testing, if I understand correctly.
That is exactly right. We basically want to take the work that software developers don't want to do and outsource it to the LLMs.
And let's talk a little bit about that, because beforehand you were talking about the agents that you build to advance the problem, to solve the solution. I'm really interested in that because in my world, in the consumer world, agents aren't working. They don't work on ChatGPT yet, and they've been long promised, right? We saw the Apple press conference a couple months ago where they said, you'll be able to book your trips and all with one prompt, and that has not come to pass. Yeah. But tell me on the more enterprise level, in the coding level, what you've managed to do for some of your clients.
Yeah, I mean, in the world of software development, it is absolutely essential to use agents the same way that you have a team of software developers that is composed of different people. Different agents with different goals collaborating with each other produce better results. You still need to constrain the problem space to certain areas like testing, replatforming, repatterning, and things like that. But we're getting really terrific results. We're solving problems that will take our clients years in weeks.
And tell me about the agents. How are they tuned? Are they unique to that subject area?
Yes.
Or are they generalized and you point them? Tell me about that.
That is a great question. So in Conductor, the tool that we have built, we have different modules that target specific use cases. As I said, testing, static analysis issues, repatterning. Each one of the modules has a different team configuration. So it has a different set of large language models powered by a different model, prompted in a different way with different goals so that they maximize the efficiency of that particular module.
So Francesco, here we are at Ai4. Last year, I guess the attendance has doubled since last year. It's been a great show. It's really busy on the floor, really interesting people and conversations. So you've seen all the hype cycles. Like, where do we fall now, and what are the risks that we could be falling into another self-imposed trap that we're all excited about it, and then we reach some sort of ceiling?
Yeah, to me, I'm actually really excited about the true capabilities of LLMs. I think a lot of folks out there are claiming things that are not yet possible, and that is part of the problem. I think everyone should look at LLMs and see the real possibilities that they have today are actually very powerful, and we should be talking about those. And especially in the world of code generation, there is a lot of tools out there that are claiming that are replacing human developers. That is not possible. We tried it. But we should be talking about the work that developers don't want to do that you can fully outsource to these LLMs.
It's interesting because we're on two sides of the wall. You're in the coding area of AI, and I'm in the generative side because that's what my business does, right? We create content. Might be news releases, might be media pitches, might be marketing materials. And we came to this about 4 years ago. And we came to it because, I'll be frank, I really thought it was a threat to my industry. And I figured the best way to protect ourselves was to know as much as we could.
That's right.
So I immersed myself in it, in it by just following thought leaders online, on X, on LinkedIn, and we really committed to it from the top down, and we made it a very safe place for our people to play. There's nothing you can do that would blow up the world from using ChatGPT.
That's right.
And we just had a press release this morning, which is pretty telling. We had done the study, and our productivity is up 10.5%. Wow. Now, that's not the 35% that some analysts, but we do about $20 million a year. That's a $2 million bounce.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money with no more investment in talent. Yeah. We didn't lay anyone off. What are we doing to create jobs? We're teaching our people how to deliver higher quality work product and more of it. And that's what's important, to try to surprise and delight clients. So instead of a press release, you'll have a press release, you'll have the content for a PowerPoint, you'll have a script for the CEO, you'll have a blog post already done, and these types of things. Clients don't really care what the sausage, how you made it. They just want great sausage in the end. And as a surprising point of that study, we found that it reduced client churn 34%.
Wow.
Why? Because you're meeting expectation.
That's right.
That's the ultimate, that's America, right? That's capitalism. And the really surprising is it reduced employee turnover 54%.
Because they could focus on the work that they wanted to do.
And they could do it at a high level and feel good about themselves. Most people, they don't want their code to be reworked by their boss.
That's right.
And then the client call with some bug, right? And on my side, people don't want to create content that their boss has to redline and the client's not happy with. If you can help them overcome that, and I'd love to do studies of this. I have no proof except for my own business, right? Is that they feel more integrated with the client, more important to the mission, and they feel better about themselves. Yeah. So there's all these kinds of gains that I don't think anyone, and you said something very interesting earlier, you said we need to get more people to use it and convince them, right? And part of that, I think, isn't just to become more productive, but isn't that the way we really protect against risk?
That's right.
If we understand the capabilities of these models, right, we know what the opportunity is, what the reality is, what the risk is.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I think we're taking the path of taking the work that software developers hate to do. Nobody likes to take care of tech debt. Nobody likes to write unit tests. Nobody likes to take COBOL code from the 80s and turn it into modern code. Let's eliminate that and let developers focus on the things that they want to do, which is build new features, create business value, and do cool things. So everything that you're saying resonates so much with me because I'm finding the same experience with my developers. They're using these tools. They're so much happier because 30% of their job, it sucked. They hated it. No more.
Well, I want to thank you for being with us. It was a great interview. Best of luck with Stride. I know you're off and running, and great show. And you got to get back to your booth because you already talked to 100 people today.
That's right. I'm missing another 100 now. So.
Well, I'll let you run, and thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Take care, Francesco.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, we're back with our next live segment from Ai4 here at the conference in Las Vegas. It's been an interesting morning, to say the least. We've heard a lot from a lot of different experts, and it's amazing who you run into. And one of the people I ran into was Imre Szucs, and he's with Imre out of, did I say that? Imre? Is that
Imre, yeah, it's perfect,
yes.
perfect.
Out of Hungary. I thought it'd be interesting to really look at what the acceptance of AI has been in Europe and where they're playing and bringing their testing skills here to the U.S. Imre, thanks for being with us here.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
I have to tell you, you're the first host, the guest rather, on The Disruption Is Now to ever bring us a gift, right?
Really?
First time we've ever had a gift.
I'm super happy for that.
And Unicum is what? It's a liqueur?
It's a kind of liquor, yeah, we can call it like this, so definitely an alcohol. Taste it. Most of the Hungarians say that it is good.
All right.
But let me tell you the truth that all of my friends outside of Hungary, it doesn't really like it. But it's worth a taste.
Oh my goodness.
Then you have to taste the other one as well.
Whew! That is dangerous. What's the other one?
It's called Palinka.
It's like nothing I've ever tasted before. It's
made from fruits, 100% fruits. So it's really healthy from a perspective.
Oh, see, that's better.
Yeah.
That's better. This is a little bit like ouzo, a little bit. But this, I don't know how to explain what that is. But anyway, well, thanks for being with us. I want to talk about what you're seeing in Europe, what's being developed, and some of the work you're doing at your company. I understand you started in software testing, and now you've moved into AI, and specifically AI agents. And this is one realm which is evolving as we speak. I remember 8 months ago here in the States, autonomous agents were the big were the big buzzwords, but they never really came to fruition on the consumer side as a user of ChatGPT. But tell me a little bit about what these agents do and how they work in unison to solve business problems.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. Well, basically inside AI, we are focusing on these multi-agent systems. In our practice, we could find that in many companies that are introducing AI systems, and in most of the cases, they are picking up that solution which is the easiest to introduce, which means that only one large language model, like the OpenAI ChatGPT. And they would like to solve everything with those kind of models. And the feedback is that more than 90% of the employees find that the quality of the systems is not good enough, meaning that they are summarizing a document, they are giving you answers from the certain documentations, they are writing you emails, but you can't be brave enough to send that email to your boss or to use that summarization. So you definitely have to go through on the original documentations. And you know, it means that it was a kind of waste of time while you played with the AI, as you have to read the full documentations.
So these agents, each one of these LLMs are tuned for specific roles. So if you have a document, let's say a highly technical or legal document, they hand off to one another and they communicate. Explain that process, if you would.
Yeah, okay. So basically what we are doing to improve the quality, to use tons of AI agents in the background. So it means really it can be 2 or 3, but in most of the cases it means that 10 to 20 different AI agents. Like generative AI models, it can be large language model, small language model, fine-tuned language model, any kind. But one of the biggest advantage is that we can also use traditional kind of machine learning models as well and program codes. So it means that, just let's imagine a legal documentation, and you have some question against that documentation. You can ask it from the user interface, but in the background what's happening is that one AI assistant tries to collect the necessary data. Another assistant is coming and try to challenge the first AI assistant whether it was enough what he has collected on the specific question. And if this AI assistant finds that it's not enough, then it can send back that, sorry guys, you have to work a bit more.
So where does the human sit in this? If the machine's doing all the thinking and the agents are handing off to one another specific tasks and evidently learning from one another, the human plays what role in that?
Well, I think the really good thing in this topic is that as a user, you can be absolutely outside of this whole story. So it's like using ChatGPT. You don't have to care about the many AI agents in the background. You are just asking your question. There are lots of things happening in the background, including checking the hallucination, etc. And at the very end of the story, you can get back the result that this is the right answer.
And does it take into account, for instance, energy use? You know, with the Apple products, they're talking about keeping local in a small language model, simple things, sending more complex up to OpenAI to save energy.
Yes, definitely. That's another advantage of being able to use not just the large language models, because we could see that for many smaller tasks, small language models, even on-premise models can be good enough, so they can solve it. And it's from energy perspective, from cost management perspective, can be a real advantage for the company who is using these systems.
And we heard this morning from Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI. He was an alarmist, saying that when these agents can learn from each other, we're at particular risk. What's your take on that? Do you agree with that? Do you?
Who am I to argue with him? You know, it's quite hard. But yes, honestly, of course, there is some kind of risk. But you know, we have to balance somehow. If we get non-quality answers from the today AI systems, then of course it's not usable. So we have to move forward somehow. And yes, we have additional risk as well. And that's why it's very important what we highlight in all of our projects, that okay, we can develop this system to you with all of the agents in the background, but of course the human validation of the system before go to live, it's necessary, and it's very important.
So when you come from Europe to the US, what's the difference in the level of acceptance, skepticism, movement in AI that you see in Europe as opposed to here in the States?
Well, as I can see, there are a few differences, but these are huge differences. One is around the regulation. Europe is a bit more regulated, as I can see. So we have to take care more on how to handle the sensitive kind of data, not just from business perspective sensitive, but any kind of personal kind of data. With AI Act, now we have to deal with our AI models as well. We have to categorize them, etc. So there are lots of things on the top of the business use case. This is one thing. Another interesting topic, I would say, that in Europe, in many countries, as these are small countries, these companies can't be specialized very much on just one sector. So, for example, in our case, for test it, we have clients from the energy industry, oil and gas, banking, insurance, telco, which means that we get huge experience in many sectors, which is great from one perspective, of course.
How do you take on marketing in the U.S. when you're a generalist? As you said, here in the U.S., we become specialists because each market is so big. You can have success just in oil and gas. You can have success just in one sliver of financial services. So here in the U.S., what's your development strategy? What's your go-to strategy here?
It's definitely one of our biggest challenges now. But hopefully now you can help us as well with the marketing. But to come back to your question, so basically what we would like to do is to set up a few very strong use cases for the different sectors. And when we are having a discussion with an oil and gas company, we can show them that, yes, we know what is oil and gas, what is the sector is about, and we have the specific use cases as well, and the necessary knowledge. And for a telco company, we again can have different use cases. That's how we would like to target this. I hope it will be working.
Well, Imre, I'm glad we bumped into each other. Welcome to the U.S. for the show. It's amazing. There's 5,000 people. This show has doubled in 1 year in attendance. It is amazing. And everybody's at a different level, if you notice. It really surprises you. Some people are just discovering generative AI, and then some people are on your level with regard to building advanced agents who can solve complex problems. So you never know where to begin and where to end with a conversation, but it's certainly advancing quickly. And I always joke that I feel as if I miss a weekend of news on AI, that I didn't study for my exam. That's just Monday morning. But thanks for being with us, and thanks for the conversation.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Well, I'll say thanks for this one liqueur. I'm not sure about this one. That's a little tough, but I appreciate it.
Sorry for that.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me here.
This podcast is a production of Gregory FCA. If you enjoyed our discussion today and want to continue exploring the transformative power of AI, please check out more episodes and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.